Hi, thank you so much for speaking to Family First. So I understand that you have some information about newlyweds and engaged couples, and we're going into the engagement season with all the special occasions coming up here, but so many times we get a little bit wrapped up in the romance instead of the finances. Can you give us some ideas about why couples should discuss their financial future first, even though it's kind of a sticky topic?
I love that, Marijo. Wrapped up in the romance instead of the finance. That's exactly what happens. So after that initial bliss moves on, what happens is that money tends to be the number one thing that couples fight over. And so the reason it's so important to talk about your financial future together is to keep those torpedoes from coming into your relationship. And let me give you just a stat or two to flesh that out. A recent study by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners showed that there's this disconnect between what couples say is important and what they actually do. And to give you a sense of that, if you look at folks 18 to 24, 84% of them say it's important to share details about their pre-existing health conditions, but less than 73% talked about whose health insurance to keep. So we've got a disconnect.
Absolutely. And so what else besides those kinds of things should they be talking about?
I think there are 5 things that every newlywed couple should have on their financial checklist. It's their net worth, what you own and owe. The difference is your net worth. Your budget, what's coming in is your combined income from which you subtract your expenses. Hopefully there's some savings left over. Your debt, credit card debt, student loan debt. What's the plan for paying that off? The logistics, where you have separate accounts, joint accounts, who pays the bills, and your insurance coverage. So those are the 5 key things to talk about.
Wow, those are hard, I'm sure, because I'm wondering if there's people that get to that point where they're like, maybe this guy's not for me, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be a little bit difficult, huh?
Well, the good news is once you have the facts, you can come up with a plan. And so I always say it's better to know than not to know.
Yeah, that's definitely, I could understand that too. So the last one you mentioned was insurance. Now, how does that, what exactly are you talking about with insurance? Is that like health insurance, car insurance, homeowners, renters, whatever? Is that...
Marijo, exactly. So there's basically 4 kinds of insurance: your auto, your life, your home, and your health. And the reason you want to think about this when you're getting married is that you might think, well, of course we're married, we'll merge everything. But let's assume your sweetie is a terrible driver. Financially, it may make more sense for you as a couple to use something called a named driver exclusion, or not to combine coverages, so that your combined cost for both of your cars is not more than you would have been paying separately before you got married. And so really digging down on a granular level and trying to see what's the best financial decision for you as a couple is the intention of the exercise, not to judge anyone or to point fingers. It's to help you be financially strong together.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a little bit hard. I mean, I know that we get a discount for having everything merged together. How do you sort of, I guess, do you have any like a ROI calculator where you say, well, in the long term, it's actually cheaper for us to keep it separated because of what you just mentioned there?
Well, so thankfully, it's a pretty straightforward analysis. You can say, okay, if we merge, what is our premiums? And you bring up a really important point, Marijo, which is that oftentimes you get discounts as a married couple. So that's definitely something that you want to look into when it comes to combining insurance. And if that discount is significant enough, it can offset some of the other things that might be a little bit of a blemish on each one of your individual records. And so literally it is just taking a look and seeing which is going to be more expensive to you, combining or doing it on your own with some exclusions. And I gave auto as a example. Let me give another one. Let's talk about your home. So you get married. A classic thing that you want to be thinking about when combining insurance is to update with your insurer. You might have been living separately, then you move in together. So your list of inventoried items under that homeowner policy has suddenly grown. You want to make sure you let your insurer know about that. So it's not only about the money. Sometimes it's about making sure that the policy is up to date in terms of what it's actually covering.
Mm-hmm. And not to get too much of the psychoanalyzing, but is there any sort of benefit or anything that you have recommended about whether or not you combine or you keep finances separate? What was your advice for that, for newlyweds, for that?
So it's so personal. Marijo, it's like asking people, how many kids should we have? And so what I tell people is you have three options. You can keep them separate, you can keep them joined, or you can do the financial three-way, yours, mine, and ours. And the key is that both of you feel really joyfully connected to whichever system you create. And I think the real essence is that it's not a one-and-done conversation, that your life is constantly going to evolve. If both of you are working, you may want one situation. If one of you is working in the home primarily, you may choose a different situation. And so as life changes, the plan may change.
So with every sort of big life event, then maybe it's worth having that sort of review of what everything looks like from a finances standpoint, obviously, right?
Exactly. I say that you want to talk at least twice a year about your finances, or anytime something major happens. You have a new love bundle that comes into your life. You move, you get a new job, something happens, you get downsized. Anytime there's a major event, you want to sit down and hash it out together.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great. Well, these are fantastic ideas. And where can we get more information about this and about you?
So the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, who I've partnered with today, they have created this awesome Newlywed Survival Guide, and you can download it on their website, which is insureyou, the letter U, online.org. And at that same website, insureyou, the letter U, online.org, you can also get, and I love this, it's called an I Do Adventures online game, and it uses a really lighthearted and fun methodology to really drive home how important it is to talk about money with your honey.
Fantastic. Very good. And do you have a website about your book or about yourself?
I do, and it is moneyzen.com, moneyzen.com.
Very good. Thank you so much for speaking to Family First this morning.
Thanks, Marijo.
Absolutely. Bye.